Thank you, Mike and Cindy, for inviting me to be a part of tonight's Candidates Forum. I'm Kimberly Fish, and since I'm not a politician by experience or come from a political family, allow me a few minutes to introduce myself and why I want to be your county commissioner in Precinct 2. I was born into a military family. My father served 3 tours in Vietnam as a Ranger Special Forces officer, and my mother had the courage and fortitude to raise my brother and I in a climate not as friendly or appreciative of soldiers as it is right now. At my parents' knee, I learned respect for men and women who put their lives on the line so that we might all enjoy the privileges guaranteed to us by the Constitution of this great country. Growing up in a military family, I learned how to manage a shoestring budget and how to leave each house we were assigned better than we found it. I learned good stewardship and things entrusted to our care, knowing that our circumstances could change at a moment's notice. And I grew up with the strong conservative values that are most effectively taught by example and distinguished by bold and hard choices. Because as we all know, doing the right thing is sometimes the hardest thing we do. I live a life engaged in making a positive difference in every place I've had the honor to call home. I embraced Republican values long before I cast my first vote for Ronald Reagan at age 18. Having known the sacrifices made for those who laid down their life for government's most noble goals, our right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, I committed my path, seeing a country that lived within the means of limited government, and in so doing, give great liberty to those business owners, farmers, inventors, artists, and educators who were then able to flourish in the free market enterprise system that distinguishes our country as one of the greatest that's ever lived. In marrying a soldier in the winter of 1989, I chose to align my life with a man who also grew up with a military family and the same conservative values that I hold so dear. We were stationed in Germany when Ronald Reagan said, "Mr. Gorbachev, tear down these walls." And that became the order of the day. And Mel and I sent home chunks of the wall that year as Christmas gifts. My husband served through Desert Storm, Desert Shield, and while stationed at Fort Sam Houston, I took up the call to become a Republican precinct chair and represent our Army post in Bexar County. I was able to serve at the state convention during the Dole Kemp run for office and fondly remember hearing timeless plea from Alan Keyes about the necessity for limited government and the liberties that follow when government gets out of the way. During the last 20 years of raising my children and being an active community volunteer, especially during the 15 years we've lived here in Longview, I've maintained a business as a self-employed freelance writer. Of the many articles, scripts, marketing materials I've researched and written, some of my most pleasant work has been on Uniquely Longview magazine, showcasing the business climate and the quality of life issues that make living and working in Longview and Gregg County outstanding. It was after researching and writing an article about the heritage and future value of Highway 80 that I was able to appeal to Representative David Simpson as he kindly listened to my request to sponsor legislation honoring Highway 80 as a Texas historic highway. That initiative was signed into history this summer by our governor. But before I tell you what led me into the issues around my protecting our property values and creating a diverse economy here in West Longview, and thereby removing some of the tax burden felt by homeowners, let me address an issue that was brought up this weekend by the Longview News-Journal. My personal voting history was reported on, and because I am a candidate willing for public office, I willingly answered private questions that most people hope they never have to defend. But as a woman who knows the right thing to do is not always the easiest thing to do, I explained my story of the primary of 2008. I approached that primary season with the knowledge that I had one vote to give. That primary, I could vote for the man who had the Republican nomination sewn up, or I could do the maverick thing, which was use the power of my vote to stop someone that I felt was destined to negatively impact our country. I used my vote during that primary to stop Barack Obama from carrying the state of Texas. I was not alone. I was not alone. Thousands of Republicans joined me as we joined me in this protest. And I am not ashamed. I chose to stand up against someone that history has borne out to be true would expand the powers of government and change the quality of life in this United States. But because Texas has an open primary law, I was able to cast my vote for John McCain that fall in the general election and put my head on my pillow that night knowing that I had done all I could do to secure the future of my country. Would I make that choice again today? You bet I would. I am not ashamed for my bold steps. And let me make clear, I do value the amendments to our state constitution. And I am grateful for the leaders who bring these issues forward and allow us the opportunity to vote. Our voting records digitally go back to 2006. And I think it's grossly unfair to judge me on what information doesn't provide through public record. It was the same bold motivation to change my future that allowed me and others to start Go West Longview 18 months ago. We saw the deterioration in our retail and our commercial areas of Longview, and as grassroots citizens committed to investigate why this was happening and what could be done to reverse the pattern. We first went to the business owners to find out what issues were in the way. Among the issues in our precinct were aging water pipes. And our water pipes, which prevented people from not only expanding their businesses, but in some cases were so small that it was impossible to expand the businesses on top of our ground. And how many of you sat watching the intersection at Gilmer Road and Loop 281 as that Albertsons shopping grocery store sat vacant year after year after year? Well, if you, like I did, wondered what was holding that back, major reinvestment in the fourth busiest intersection in the city of Longview, you would have discovered, like we did, that mainstream grocery stores were not coming to stake a claim. Ladies and gentlemen, the reason was corporate grocery stores no longer choose to go into an area that is classified as dry. Now, our city wasn't totally dry. Half of our Longview had been fully wet since the 1970s. But our part of the city, excuse me, the one where people were building homes and interested in redeveloping properties, had lost one of our major stores. And we were on the verge of losing others. I'm one of those people that believe grocery stores and convenience stores are integral to how we live and the quality of life. And after careful consideration, and because I'm an advocate for economic development and sought a leveled playing field in our city, I became the spokesperson for the effort to classify the remaining parts of Longview as damp. That is a legal designation that only allows for beer and wine to be sold in grocery stores and convenience stores. And despite rumors to the contrary, the law does not allow for liquor stores, bars, or nightclubs. With this successful citywide vote, the economic initiative stimulated our local economy with building permits to remodel our existing stores to almost $1 million spent in Longview before a single bottle of beer was sold. We also now have significant major grocery stores considering our market, when a year ago they would have turned away. Please know, I am committed to seeing Longview and Gregg County thrive. And I take on initiatives that I believe will help turn my area around, even at great risk to my personal reputation. Because, like our founding fathers, I am committed to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness for every citizen. Oh, thank you. That was refreshing. Thank you, Mike. If you choose me to be your next county commissioner, please know that you will get a representative that researches issues before she votes, just like I did before every meeting during my time on the city's Planning and Zoning Commission. I make what I believe are wise and sometimes hard choices before I vote yay or nay on an item. And you'll have that same commitment from me at Commissioner's Court. You'll get a commissioner 100% devoted to her precinct, Gregg County, and the prosperity of East Texas. I don't own other businesses. I don't have another job. I won't be too busy doing other things that I would not be accessible to you, the voter. I will be a positive advocate whose first response will be, let me research how I can help, instead of just passing the buck. Like other commissioners who've led transportation and economic development-driven initiatives in their precincts, for example, the George Ritchie Road Project Extension Project and the loop around Kilgore, I'll research ways that your tax dollars can be put back to work in your precinct for the improvement of your quality of life. And because I'm a strong conservative, I'll maintain our county's outstanding fiscal credibility while following the example of our county judge and other commissioners who intelligently manage the funds of our county while maintaining the lowest tax rate in the state for a county of our size. They seem to be able to do this all the while modeling a successful business approach, which teaches that the way to make a precinct thrive is to reinvest in infrastructure. Saving all monies collected might sound good in theory, but in practice, every homeowner knows that to protect your property, you must reinvest your dollars at home. So I will work with the other commissioners, and I will, work with the county judge to find ways to shore up our infrastructure so that new business, retail, commercial, and industrial have every opportunity to thrive, creating not only community that we're proud to call home, but one that attracts others to it, and one that will increase and enhance our tax base. From the beginning of my journey with Go West to this day where I ask you to consider me as your positive choice to represent you in the Commissioner's office, my motivation comes down to one primary objective: protect your property values. I have 5 goals that I believe I can bring to this campaign. 1, I will network with the city and the county agencies to create this conducive climate. Good things are happening all over Gregg County and Longview, North Longview, South Longview, our airport, but nothing is happening here in Precinct 2. And you have to wonder, like I have, why is that? Number 2, I will revitalize infrastructure. I will actively work to replace our World War II era pipes while improving roads and upgrading utilities to improve the quality of life in Precinct 2. I'm going to restore community pride. We have 3 entry points coming into Longview via the side of town: Highway 80 from Dallas, Highway 31 from Kilgore, and 300 from Gilmer. As a gateway, our entry point should showcase our heritage and our future. And I will proudly champion this cause, much as I did the Highway 80 legislation this summer. I will emphasize county responsibilities, public safety, and maintaining our efficient governmental services while maintaining our low tax rate. And I will improve precinct communications. I will insist that the Precinct 2 office be made a part of the countywide telephone system, and I will accept a county-issued email address to better communicate directly with you. Since Precinct 2 is entirely within the city limits of Longview, with no road and bridge crew, and only 7 miles of county roads to maintain, I will not burn bridges when it comes to cooperating with the very people I will have to rely on to bring positive initiatives to this area. I am an active volunteer in many organizations here in Longview, to include the Rotary, the Chamber, Zonta International. I'm a Forever Friends mentor, a member of the Republican Women's Club, a member of Mobberly Baptist Church, and I'm a card-carrying member of the NRA. I am a daughter, a sister, a wife, and a mother to 2 amazing young adults. Ladies and gentlemen, I am in this race to be your county commissioner against an incumbent who has held the position for 20 long years. I don't know how you feel about term limits, but I'm going to echo Senator Kevin Eltife, as he said. I have always believed in term limits and feel it allows for fresh ideas and perspective in elected office. It is my opportunity to ask you tonight to take the opportunity to, like I did in 2008 in a primary Republican race, cast your vote for the candidate that you feel will best represent the future of our district, our precinct, our county. And I'm going to ask you to choose me as your candidate. Thank you tonight, Mike. I appreciate your help tonight. Have a good evening.